than have declared himself to be a poor man to his rich relations, the Tringles. Such were now the remaining two children of old Mr. Dosett, Lady Tringle, namely, and Reginald Dosett, the clerk in the Admiralty. Adelaide, the beauty-in-chief of the family, was gone, and now also her husband, the improvident artist, had followed his wife. Dormer had been by no means a failing artist. He had achieved great honour, had at an early age been accepted into the Royal Academy, had sold pictures to illustrious princes and more illustrious dealers, had been engraved, and had lived to see his own works resold at 5 times their original prices. Egbert Dormer might also have been a rich man, but he had a taste for other beautiful things besides a wife. The sweetest little phaeton that was to cost nothing, the most perfect bijou of a little house at South Kensington. He had boasted that it might have been packed without trouble in his brother-in-law Tringle's dining-room. The simplest little gem for his wife, just a blue set of china for his dinner-table, just a painted cornice for his studio, just satin hangings for his drawing-room, and a few simple ornaments for his little girls. These, with a few rings for himself, and velvet suits of clothing in which to do his painting, these, with a few little dinner parties to show off his blue china, were the first and last of his extravagances. But when he went, and when his pretty things were sold, there was not enough to cover his debts. There was, however, a sweet savour about his name. When he died, it was said of him that his wife's death had killed him. He had dropped his palette, refused to finish the ordered portrait of a princess, and had simply turned himself around and died. Then there were the 2 daughters, Lucy and Ayala. It should be explained that though a proper family intercourse had always been maintained between the 3 families, the Tringles, the Dormers, and the Dossetts, there had never been cordiality between the first and 2 latter. The wealth of the Tringles had seemed to convey with it a fetid odour. Egbert Dormer, with every luxury around him which money could purchase, had affected to despise the heavy magnificence of the Tringles. It may be that he affected a fashion higher than that which the Tringles rarely attained. Reginald Dosett, who was neither brilliant nor fashionable, was in truth independent, and perhaps a little thin-skinned. He would submit to no touch of arrogance from Sir Thomas, and Sir Thomas seemed to carry arrogance in his brow and in his paunch. It was there rather, perhaps, than in his heart, but there are men to whom a knack of fumbling their money in their pockets, and of looking out from under penthouse brows over an expansive waistcoat, gives an air of overweening pride which their true idiosyncrasies may not justify. To Dosett had, perhaps, been spoken a word or two which on some occasion he had inwardly resented, and from thenceforward he had ever been ready to league with Dormer against the bullionaire, as they agreed to call Sir Thomas. Lady Tringle had even said a word to her sister, Mrs. Dormer, as to expenses, and that had never been forgiven by the artist. So things were when Mrs. Dormer died first, and so they remained when her husband followed her. Then there arose a sudden necessity for action, which for a while brought Reginald Dosett into connection with Sir Thomas and Lady Tringle. Something must be done for the poor girls. That the something should come out of the pocket of Sir Thomas would have seemed to be natural. Money with him was no object, not at all. Another girl or 2 would be nothing to him, as regarded simple expenditure. But the care of a human being is an important matter, and so Sir Thomas knew. Dosett had not a child at all, and would be the better for such a windfall. Dosett he supposed to be, in his, Dosett's way, fairly well off. So he made this proposition. He would take one girl, and let Dosett take the other. To this Lady Tringle added her proviso that she should have the choice. To her nerves affairs of taste were of such paramount importance. To this Dosett yielded. The matter was decided in Lady Tringle's back drawing-room. Mrs. Dosett was not even consulted in that matter of choice, having already acknowledged the duty of mothering a motherless child. Dosett had thought that the bullionaire should have said a word as to some future provision for the penniless girl, for whom he would be able to do so little. But Sir Thomas had said no such word, and Dosett himself lacked both the courage and the coarseness to allude to the matter. Then Lady Tringle declared that she must have Ayala, and so the matter was settled. Ayala the romantic, Ayala the poetic. It was a matter of course that Ayala should be chosen. Ayala had already been made intimate with the magnificent saloons of the Tringles, and had been felt by Lady Tringle to be an attraction. Her long, dark, black locks